Hello and welcome to Security Scan. I am Vishal Dahiya, and this week we will talk about maritime patrol aircraft P-8I Neptune. P-8I Neptune is a variant of long-range multi-mission maritime patrol aircraft P-8A Poseidon manufactured by Boeing. It is designed to protect India's vast coastlines and territorial waters. It can conduct anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, intelligence, maritime patrol, surveillance and reconnaissance missions. It is equipped with most modern ASW technology and weapon system, including Harpoon Block II missiles, Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes and rockets. Now, this aircraft has a maximum speed of approximately 900 km per hour and an operating range of over 1,200 nautical miles. As of today, Indian Navy operates a squadron of P-8I with 8 aircrafts and 4 more will be delivered by 2020. According to news reports, India is all set to buy 10 more P-8I Neptune aircrafts, and a deal for the same is being worked out in the meanwhile. We're joining by a distinguished panel of guests in the studio today for more on this, specifically P-8I and what are maritime patrol aircraft. Let me start by introducing our guest to you, beginning with Lieutenant Commodore Anil Jay Singh, the Vice President of Indian Maritime Foundation. We're also joined by Mr. Alok Bansal, Director of India Foundation, and we have with us the Tribune's defense correspondent, Mr. Ajay Banerjee as well. Welcome, gentlemen, all of you to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Commodore Singh, to put it in perspective for our viewers. What exactly are we looking at when we talk about P-8I specifically and the maritime patrol aircrafts, and where does it stand in as far as Indian Navy's overall scheme of things are concerned?
I think the importance of a long-range maritime patrol surveillance aircraft can never be underestimated. For a navy the size of India's and the kind of area we have to cover, which is the entire Indian Ocean and perhaps part of the Indo-Pacific as well, maritime surveillance assumes a very important role. The nature of the contemporary maritime threat is not only from other states, it is a transnational threat. So it is not only about protecting our own borders, it is about creating a maritime domain awareness in the entire region in an inclusive manner which is also beneficial to other nations. Therefore, the P-8I, firstly as an ISR aircraft, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance aircraft, has a very important role to play. It has a range of, as you mentioned, 1,200 nautical miles with 4 to 6 hours time on task, which gives a tremendous amount of versatility in the air. But I think for us also very important is its anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare roles. From an anti-submarine warfare perspective, the constant foray by submarines, even from coming in from China, this aircraft would be very useful in being able to monitor the movements of such submarines. And frankly speaking, as a submariner, the one thing that worries a submarine captain is to get detected by a long-range maritime patrol aircraft, because he has no idea that it is there when he comes up to periscope depth or surfaces.
Okay.
Therefore, to put pressure on any submarine, if you know that your enemy or the other country has a very potent LRMP capability, long-range maritime patrol capability with anti-surf submarine capability, it would inhibit him from being bold enough to do things which he would otherwise do. Now, till the Poseidon came in, till the P-8I was inducted into the Indian Navy, we used to operate Russian aircraft, the Tu-142 and the IL-38. And frankly speaking, they were well past their expiry date. And really speaking, they were not as big a deterrent as it should have been.
Modern technology, not equipped properly and all that stuff.
Basically technology. So I think the P-8I came and was a game changer as far as India is concerned. And insofar as fortunately we're going in for right now amount of numbers, 8 plus 4 plus 10. A country like Japan has 90 LRMP aircraft. So that's the sort of scale we're looking at. But I think 22 would be a very healthy number for us to be able to perform the roles we're looking at.
Okay, so it is quite an important, aspect of overall naval operations as well. We'll come back to, the specifics of a P-8I as well, but continuing with the strategic aspect of it and how, important is maritime patrol aircrafts like these. Mr. Bansal, how do you see the scenario? Because our Navy has, started expanding its footprint, and we are making a lot of, our presence felt in waters.
See, we need to understand that Indian Navy is the largest littoral navy in the Indian Ocean region, and naval warfare is quite different from army or air warfare, because what happens is the oceans are vast and there is no restriction of time. The maritime vessels, the ships, submarines can remain at sea for days at stretch. So identification, the initial identification, initial pickup is very, very essential for maritime warfare, because the arena is many, many times larger than that in a land warfare or something. So the initial pickup, you need good sensors and an aircraft which has a huge endurance. The long range maritime patrol aircraft, one of the key requirements is that it should have the capacity, like you gave the range of 1200 nautical miles. 1200 nautical miles is around 2,500 kilometers. It goes there and remains there for almost 4 to 6 hours. That is its operating parameters, where it can go, remain deployed, because for an anti-submarine warfare aircraft, it has to deploy a pattern of sonobuoys or do a mad run, that is magnetic anomaly detector, because if it is looking at a submarine which is submerged, then you need to have some sensor which is on the water, which is transmitting data to you. So it has to remain in the place, because if an aircraft can just go and come back, then you'll never be able to pursue a submarine there. So that gives it that strength. Like the earlier aircraft which we had, IL-38s and Tu-142M, they also had huge endurance. Like Tu-142 could go to Madagascar and remain on task for 4 hours. It had that sort of endurance. Endurance wise, P8I is slightly lesser, but it has far more modern gadgetry. Its sensors are far too good. In fact, the version that's been given to India has specifically got the tail radar, basically to give a 360 degrees coverage, and it's got data link, and it has MAD, that is the specifics for India are two, that is the tail radar as well as that MAD, which has been given. Besides, of course, it has a huge weapon platform. It has missiles, it has torpedoes. So it has huge payload as far as weapons are concerned, sensor capabilities, and it's on a Boeing 737 body. That's the airframe, which is the basic airframe on which is it. So it's a very sturdy and a reliable platform which is there. And I think this gives you enormous reach, especially now that we have very good relations with some of the island countries of Indian Ocean, like Maldives, Seychelles, Mauritius. And if this aircraft can refuel from any of these island nations, you have virtually entire Indian Ocean under surveillance.
Okay, we'll continue with that aspect and go back to Commodore Singh as well on the specifications. But before that, Ajay, on the strategic aspect, on the importance specifically of the maritime patrol aircraft, and we've seen in the recent past how P8I, just recently have been taking sorties in the Gulf region as well, with that tensions out there, and also in the recent AN-32 accident wherein P8I was deployed. So it's quite helpful, quite important.
Vishal, allow me to answer your question in two parts. First, the present scenario and the future also. First, I'll take the present scenario. See, Indian Navy has a told or a declared role which it says is between the Straits of Hormuz to our west and the Straits of Malacca to our east. Now, this is the declared role, but it also means the entire Indian Ocean, and it is a vast area to be covered. Now comes, what is the P8I doing? P8I is covering this entire area in patches, in sometimes over deployments, long stretch deployments, and it is also taking a fatigue on the crew. Now, can we deploy P8I from Straits of Hormuz to Malacca and also to the entire Indian Ocean? Possibly no. So what is the future? Here comes the second part. The future is that we get HALE drones. HALE is high altitude, long endurance drones, which the Indian Navy at the moment has moved a proposal to get those drones. Now, what these drones will do is, they'll remain up there for a longer period, say 24 hours, 26 hours. And there is no crew involved up in the air which has got a fatigue or some syndrome or will be tired. Of course, human being endurance is there, and there'll be a manned station on ground. The drones will cover a wider area, and they move slowly. By moving slowly means they catch more things on the ground, or more images on the ground, and more of objects on the ground. They also hunt at submarines. And the P8I will be augmented. The reach of our surveillance will be multiplied into 2 once the P8I and the drones are married. By married over here, I mean they exchange the data with the existing platforms, the warships, the submarines, and also the IMAC at Gurgaon, which collates all the data from the radars and all the things. That means we'll have a multiple image once these drones come in with the P8Is and the data links which we are using at the moment. Of course, the satellite, Rukmani, I missed that. The satellite will also be married into all this. That is the future, Vishal, I think.
Okay, Commodore Singh, if you look at the specifications of P8I, the kind of technology it has, and all three of you are pointing out that the reason why it scores on, whatever we have already in the inventory is because of its technical specifications and the advanced weaponry it has. So if you could explain to our viewers a little bit, what is it that P8I packs?
See, firstly, this has got very contemporary equipment. we signed the contract for the P-8I at the same time that it was being inducted into the United States Armed Forces. So we are the first export customers for the P-8I.
And that one, US Naval Forces at P-8A.
P-8 Poseidon.
Poseidon.
So it's the same aircraft. Of course, I suspect that it doesn't have exactly the same technology, but it certainly has very potent technology. It has the Harpoon Block 2 missile. Now, Harpoon Block 2 missile is one of the most contemporary missiles. It has a Mark 54 torpedo, which is perhaps the leading lightweight air-launched torpedo in the world today. It can carry sonar buoys. It has radars. So it has a magnetic anomaly detector, which, as Alok pointed out. So from a detection, from an ISR perspective and from its anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare role perspective, it has the best the world has to offer at the moment.
Okay.
Then as was also brought out, its capacity to carry out maritime domain awareness because of its endurance, because of its sensors, because of its contemporary networking capability in a network-centric environment, etc. And coupled with all the other surveillance means that we have, it will greatly enhance our coverage of the Indian Ocean. Today, it is not the interstate threat that we are so worried about. That is one aspect, of course, but the transnational threat, which threatens not only India, which threatens the whole region. And therefore, if there is one country, as was brought out, and if India claims to be the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region, then it must have the capacity and the wherewithal to be able to be a credible net security provider. And I think the P-8I that way gives a tremendous amount of credibility in that role. An endurance of 2,200 kilometers is tremendous with 4 to 6 hours on task. Yes, the Tu-142 used to have I think a total endurance of 16 hours, which was huge. But then it had started showing its age. Secondly, this is built, as Alok brought on, a 737 platform, which is a very reliable and safe platform. It's a jet-propelled thing. These are one of the very few jet-propelled surveillance aircraft. By and large, surveillance aircraft have been turboprops, other than the Nimrod, which the Royal Navy used to operate. So I think from a capability perspective, it has totally changed the paradigm of surveillance.
Okay.
As far as the entire Indian Ocean maritime domain awareness picture goes. We've set up the Indian Ocean Region Information Fusion Center. Now, all this we can do because we have these instruments out at sea to give us this kind of information. Otherwise, if you didn't have somebody giving you that information, what fusion would you do?
Okay.
So I think it's given the Indian Navy that sort of capacity, that sort of that stature, that we are today a navy to reckon with. We are today a country that is projecting its power beyond its traditional borders and is in the larger good of the region.
Okay, Mr. Bansal, your views on the specifications and how it works, and specifically whether it works to what our needs are.
See, there is no doubt that India needs a large navy, and one of the most important components of that navy, which has to dominate the Indian Oceans or has to provide assistance to other countries, is a long-range maritime patrol aircraft. Please understand, the littoral countries in Indian Ocean region look towards India for providing humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. And any other eventuality, we have seen there was a time when Mozambique requested Indian Navy to provide offshore security. We had tsunami when we were providing support to Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Maldives. We withdrew citizens of other countries from conflict zones like Yemen, etc. And all these activities require good surveillance, because when your ships are going and withdrawing, you need to cordon off an area, and if you have a better platform, that's the best. And as Commodore A.J. Singh said, there is no doubt that as far as sensors of P-8I are concerned, Neptune are concerned, they are a quantum jump over the previous aircraft that we had. And that's the beauty. And it's actually state-of-the-art aircraft, because as I said, 2012 it was inducted in US Navy, and 2012 we placed the order. In fact, we got the first aircraft in December 2012. 2013 it was inducted into Indian Navy. Not only that, some of the weapon systems were tried for the first time in India. The Harpoon 2 missile test was actually conducted against a surface target for the first time by Indian Navy, not by the US Navy. So we were the pioneers in something. So this is something which is latest. So it is something which is very, very reliable.
Okay.
And if you have a reliable platform which can detect a suspicious vessel or a suspicious contact at sea, whether subsurface or surface, it's a very, very big thing, because after Mumbai, we have said that the medium of sea can be used for all sorts of attacks. Okay. Terrorists today are actually looking for the weak spots in your security, and one of them could be the ocean front. And so that's one of the things. And I think already Indian Navy is seen as a benign power. So the littoral navies in our vicinity, the countries in our vicinity look towards Indian Navy to provide succor. And this aircraft adds a phenomenal capacity. And as far as the capabilities are concerned, I have already told you that it has the capacity to go 1200 nautical miles, remain on task for 4 to 6 hours and come back. It has a crew of 9 people. It's a Boeing 737 airframe. It has torpedoes, Mark 54. It has magnetic anomaly detector. It's got radar. It's got data link, so that you can create a picture. Actually, it has a data link with surface units, etc. So what the aircraft is seeing, the person sitting in a ship can also see. And it has got a huge amount of weapon systems. So it's very good against surface targets. It's very good against subsurface targets, and it can be used. And it is fairly fast. The speed is important because supposing the other, your adversary also has an air asset. Supposing you are going close to another country's coast, or if the other adversary has an aircraft carrier or something, then you need a speed, because a slow moving target then becomes a target. Your surveillance aircraft itself can be shot down.
Okay.
Please understand, because it becomes extremely vulnerable.
Okay, so it does, score on all those fronts as well. So Ajay, do you think P8I packs that punch which is required for the Indian Navy?
See, Vishal, I'll answer and break it down into very simple terms. There are two countries which are rising at the moment, China and India. China has made its military intent very, very clear in the South China Sea. And I'm not saying that we should make our intent clear in the manner China has made, but India has made its intent very clear that Indian Ocean is our backyard. Now, to rule that backyard, you need to have assets to rule that backyard. The Boeing P8I is one of the critical assets to rule that backyard called the Indian Ocean. The world's entire SLOCs, that is the sea lanes of communication carrying crude oil to China, Japan, Korea, and also to India, pass through the Indian Ocean. We are the boss out there. The P8I allows us to say that we are the boss. But I'll repeat myself, once the drones like the Sea Guardian or whatever they come in, they will make you a bigger asset or make you a bigger boss in the Indian Ocean. And I'm using the word boss deliberately because China says it is the boss of South China Sea. It takes on America. I'm not saying that we should take on America or any other country in the Indian Ocean. These are open common areas. But we have to be the boss in the Indian Ocean. We have to be, when we say that we are the net security provider, we have to show that we have the means to be that, Vishal.
Okay, we have to show we have the means, and we should have that credible deterrence as well. Now let's come to the last point, Commodore Singh, before we bring this to an end. The last point is about numbers, because in your first response, you were saying that, Japan has around 90 maritime patrol aircrafts, and we have 8 P8Is, we have ordered 4 more, and now, there are talks that we'll get 10 more. So how do you see, from an end user's perspective, where do we put the numbers?
I think a force level of 22 P8Is would be a fairly comfortable number for the Indian Navy. Firstly, it gives you flexibility in operating. We could have them divided. They're a great asset. A P8I recently landed at Car Nicobar. So that means now you can base P8Is as far as the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So the complete approaches to the Indian Ocean from the east can be effectively surveilled. You can position P8Is of Goa and Cochin, so the entire western seaboard can be kept under surveillance. They're already operating from Rajali, so they can go deep into the South Indian Ocean. What you lack would perhaps be numbers, because quantity has its own quality also. So if we have adequate numbers, and on many fronts, we can sort of have that surveillance capability that we require for multiple roles. We can send them on different missions at different places. So 22, I think, is a healthy number. After all, these are expensive aircraft. They're expensive to operate. They're expensive to maintain. So we will have to find this very judicious balance between what we want and what we can get and what we should have.
Okay.
So I think that's important. But I would think 22 is a comfortable number at the moment.
Okay, 22 is a comfortable number. Mr. Bansal, do we need more than that?
No, 22 is a fairly good number considering the force levels that Indian Navy has had in the past. In fact, you need to understand that for any operation, which is actually a long drawn operation, you need an aircraft continuously on task. So aircraft has to be relieved on task. So you need to have adequate aircraft so that there can be a turnover. The aircraft can come because aircraft has a maintenance cycle which will comes back before it can take off. For a second sortie, there is a time. So I think we have adequate numbers where we can probably position 2, 3, 4 aircraft at a time if required. So that's a very good thing. And in addition, I personally feel as we expand our arena of operations, we would have to negotiate with some of our friendly countries for landing rights and for refueling rights, and airfields like Gan Island, which are lying virtually idle, could be put to better use. Maybe some airfields in Seychelles or Mauritius could also be looked at. These are the countries with which we have had very special defense cooperation arrangements, and that would provide us greater reach if we have to go further down south.
Okay.
As of now, the North Indian Ocean is perfectly under surveillance, with 22 is a fairly large number, and if we can position them in Car Nicobar or say in Great Nicobar, it's got a phenomenal locational advantage as well as surveillance assets.
Okay.
So virtually anything and everything that's entering from the east can be put under surveillance.
Okay, so that will do the job. Ajay, numbers 1 and 2, the one question which I always ask you, because you keep a tab on the timelines of the acquisitions as far as weapons platform is concerned. In this case, are you satisfied the way things have gone?
Yeah, definitely. I'll also add one thing here. See what happens, around a decade ago, we decided that we'll not rely on Russia alone. We go by the American platforms, the C-130J, the C-17 and the Boeing P-8I are almost a decade-old decisions. They have come in, they are serving the country greatly well. And what I mean to say is, what I mean to add out here is, India has to keep on working at it. Bansal Saab has rightly pointed out that we need to have some refueling or landing rights somewhere. China has those rights in several countries in Africa, and China also has rights in Pakistan, and is probably acquiring rights in Bangladesh and also in Myanmar. So high time we also changed our diplomacy to have these rights in countries from where we can operate from further areas. Yes, we go on surveillance patrols, we get some kind of refueling, but that is kind of in the name of surveillance. I mean a permanent kind of thing, as Bansal Saab has pointed out. He's taken a few names also, which from where we can have these bases and refueling abilities, which will help us in the long run, Vishal. That's what I think.
Okay, and in terms of numbers, 22, which
numbers, these are the
about?
experts. I think they are perfectly all right. I'm just giving a breakdown for the general.
Okay, okay. Concluding comments from you, Commodore Singh, in terms of how do you see the future from here onwards? We're going to have 22 P-8Is. We already have 8. We're getting 4 more. 10 more would be added. So both in terms of the maritime patrol, and surveillance and reconnaissance, and the way Indian Navy has expanded its footprint. So how do you see things moving in the future?
You see, we've always been, our force level structuring has always been a balanced blue water navy. So it's not that we've focused on something and neglected some other aspect of it. So from that point of view, I think it's all a very sort of structured force level augmentation that is happening. For the P-8I per se, I think with force multipliers like the forthcoming drones, the HAIL as Ajay mentioned, the satellite in the air, tactical data links, network centric, I think we'll be able to create a very good comprehensive maritime domain awareness picture in the Indian Ocean, which remains our primary area of interest and should be for some more time till we build up enough capacity to venture further east or west.
Okay.
So I think from that perspective, the P-8I is a great asset, and with other force multipliers, it will greatly enhance the Indian Navy and India's capability as a regional power.
Okay. Mr. Bansal, your final words on the show?
See, I have always believed that India has great power aspirations. We want to be a regional power. And I have always believed that a country's status in the Committee of Nations depends on its ability to influence events far off from its frontiers. And that instrument which allows that capability is the Navy.
Okay.
So Indian Navy is essential, and now that India has no existential threats as it had in the initial decades from across the borders, it can focus more and more on Navy. And I think, and to that extent, one of the very important, powerful tools for acquiring that sort of capacity is a maritime patrol aircraft, long-range maritime patrol aircraft with excellent sensor capabilities, and that we are getting it from the United States, a proven technology. Timing, of course, has a lot to do with Mike Pompeo's visit and US-India tensions rising out of various S-400 and other issues, because we would definitely not like to put all our eggs in one basket.
Well, yes, that's right, and we'll definitely take up that aspect as well. Maybe next week or to the next week to go ahead and have a discussion on those aspects. But as far as P-8I is concerned, as our panelists pointed out, it is and capable and full of modern technology and new weapons platform, long-range maritime patrol aircraft. Exactly what the Indian Navy needs at this stage. We'll come back again next week with a different topic and different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.